My name is Jonathan Dent, Natural Habitats Manager at St Nick's. This presentation is on community engagement on urban rivers, successes, challenges and long-term sustainability. St Nick's, also known as the Green Heart of York, is an environmental charity just outside the city walls in York. It started off transforming a landfill site into a thriving local nature reserve and does a whole range of other environmental projects, from zero waste curbside recycling to ecotherapy to educational work. My work is more on nature conservation and natural habitat management. So with that and today's presentation, we're focusing on the Foss catchment, which is quite an isolated catchment as part of the River Ouse catchment and the wider Suno catchment. Most of the work we do though is more within urban areas, so working more with communities, community groups, volunteers, and not going out so much into those rural areas as yet. Key features and issues along the Foss and the catchment, surrounded by lots of residential areas and the issues that that brings. There's a surviving population of water voles on the main Foss and the becks, white-clawed crayfish up at the source of the Foss, with issues more to do with the heavy modifications that have been made as per kind of lots of urban areas. Canalisation, culverts, weirs, all those sorts of things as kind of the areas developed. Another big issue that we have to deal with, Himalayan balsam, which is obviously a common riverside issue, but a lot of it found on rivers along York, and that kind of trying to get that joined up management across urban areas is quite tricky. And then where we are just at the bottom of the Suno, the flooding, the problems that brings as well. Increasingly, as we work across more areas of the river and the becks, we need more volunteers basically, and how do we keep those volunteers, how do we maintain those volunteers, and the different work we do in the communities. Basically the best way we found is to have quite a range of different tasks and different opportunities for people to get involved in, potentially within the same session as well. Not everybody will want to spend a whole session digging out a wildlife scrape, or perhaps won't be able to. But at the same time, not everyone will want to spend their day kind of counting riverfly, not that we get that many, but caddisfly and things like that in the river. So it's having that range of opportunities that people can get involved in, and at different times as well. And I think the last year has shown us that we can be more flexible with our timings and our work. So we can have evening sessions, we can have weekend sessions, not every week, but kind of on a rotation, so we can provide different opportunities. And our numbers and the sustainment of those volunteers has gone up because of that. I think another key thing as well is having that ongoing support, and that can be through us and our kind of team of staff, training kind of people like interns and core volunteers to be able to support other people. We kind of see ourselves very much as generalists, so we can support a wide range of activities going on, which I think is really important, that people aren't feeling like they're doing the same thing all the time, and they're feeling like they're getting actively supported as well. As well, I think really important to have, as well as local people, a wider range of people from other kind of walks of life as well. So we have some volunteers who will come to every session who maybe live around the corner, which is really important for kind of picking up those local issues, keeping an eye on sites or whatever you've been doing. But I think as well, when you've got those bigger time sensitive tasks, whether it's Himalayan balsam between June and July, cutting wet grassland areas, certain survey work that needs to be done at a certain time, it's really important to have those bigger groups as well that can come in and take the pressure off those core volunteers. Also kind of widening out the opportunities to other people, getting more people involved, whether it's students, interns, people through events like young families or one-off business groups that can help kind of get the work done. So while we've kind of had a lot of successes in getting kind of work done and increasing our reach, the biggest problem, as for a lot of people, is kind of project funding really. And over the years where we've got a project started, whether it's ecological monitoring or a waterfall conservation work, and then that project finishes and we aren't then there with something else lined up. So that's the biggest problem. And then, volunteer numbers, if there's not sessions still going on, can drop quite quickly. You lose that kind of sustainment and that kind of goodwill, I suppose, to keep going at things, especially if their time has then been wasted if it's not followed up. So how do we kind of get over that problem? I think the biggest thing is that kind of forward thinking and planning, and all the projects that we've done over the last few years have been under the Dalesville Rivers Network project plan, working towards that more catchment based approach. And as we're getting funding bids in, it's, what can we do within this bid to get us in a good state for the next part of the project? Obviously, they often have to be new projects, but can we get a opportunities mapping done that will inform the next project, as we did with the new Yorkshire Water project that we're doing, which is all about joining up those habitats and having that volunteer community engagement across the becks rather than just being site specific, different times, different days, lots of different activities for people to get involved and trying to build that ownership on up the rivers. The other thing as well, we've done a lot of kind of riparian survey work, but it's been maybe a little bit patchy and it's not been that consistent. But that's kind of starting to pay off now as the Yorkshire Waterfall project's coming onto the FOSS, and through Yorkshire Wildlife Trust and the Environment Agency, we're looking to work with them to do more kind of consistent joined up surveying for waterfall, for mink across the catchment. And all of these projects, if we can keep developing them, getting these more sustainable funders involved as well, that only benefits our kind of long-term engagement with people across the catchment. Thank you very much.